Welcome to Product Leaders, a podcast series by Orbis. I'm Ben Moulton.
I'm Ty Silvera. Great to be joining as a co-host finally.
We're back with a brand new season, more episodes, more guests, and a step up in the conversations we're having across the product pond.
We'll be speaking to product leaders from startups through to scale-ups and global teams, unpacking how they actually build, ship, and scale great products.
Our aim stays the same, to share insights that help those starting out in product,
and practical advice for those already in the thick of it, navigating the day-to-day challenges of the role.
So whether you're breaking into product or leading teams,
there should be something in here for you.
Let's get into it. Today I'm joined by Barbara Carcangiu, VP of Product at NEMO Money. We'll be talking about what it takes to build and scale products in regulated fintech environments, how Barbara's leadership mindset has evolved as the company has grown, and how to balance speed with structure but without creating chaos. We'll also touch on hiring, developing product teams, and building the right systems to help teams deliver real value. So let's dive in. Hey Barbara, welcome to Product Leaders Podcast. How are things with you? All well?
Hi Ben. All good today. Thanks for asking.
Excellent. A couple of little tech issues, weren't there, for us to start with, but we got
that. Yep, as usual.
Well, it's great to have you on. I've really been looking forward to chatting with you. We've got a few different topics to cover off. Let's kind of dive in and see where we go. Just a quick introduction from your side. Maybe you could just tell the listeners, who you are, what your role is today, the kind of products, the kind of problem spaces you're sort of working in at the moment.
Of course. I'm a product leader, or as I like to think of myself, a product enthusiast, just because I love it so much. I have just over 15 years experience between marketing and product. I made the shift from marketing to product a few years ago, again, because I'm so passionate about it. At the moment, I am VP of product for NEMO Money, which is an investing and trading app operating under the Abu Dhabi Global Market License. On a day-to-day, I guess I spend most of my time on problems that are in between technology, money, trust. Obviously, when we're talking about money, trust is super important for users. So think of things like client onboarding, KYC processes, deposit and withdrawals workflows, and of course the investing journeys, all under regulated environments. A big part of my role at the moment is actually helping the teams to solve these financial problems, financial and regulatory constraints, so that they can come up with solutions that feel simple, human, and still approachable. But I still always keep user problems in my mind.
Excellent. That's great. Thanks for the overview as well. And so NEMO Money, just give us an idea of kind of the size and scale, like where it's got to now, like the number of kind of people working in that part of the business. And,
yes, absolutely. So NEMO Money is a separate division within the Xfinity Group. We operate independently, a little bit like a startup environment, and that's really where my expertise is as well. So I have built products from 0 to 1 recent years, and as we operate separate from the rest of the business, we have our own resources, although we sometimes rely on central teams. We are a remote team between London and Dubai, and developers in different parts of the world. So, we have the usual challenges with time zones and everyone working together. But we have product managers, again, looking after the onboarding, the payment space, product growth and loops, as well as the engagement and the actual investing part of the app. NEMO was launched around between 3 and 4 years ago, and it grew from a US stock investing app to a multi-asset financial app where you can go and invest in stocks, in crypto, and in CFDs, so things of commodities, indices, FX, and the like. So you can also invest in stock CFDs.
Yeah, that's great. Very useful to understand. So with NEMO starting sort of 3 or 4 years ago, you were obviously working for the Xfinity Group, presumably before that then? You got the opportunity to work in NEMO. Is that how it kind of worked?
Yes. So I have been working for the legacy products before. And then there was a need from the company to diversify portfolio, diversify revenue streams, and also the positioning of the company, which is where NEMO Money came from. So I have been with Xfinity for about 7 years, and I have joined as a senior PM. So I was a senior PM 7 years ago, and then I've helped NEMO build NEMO from the ground up. But of course, at the time, I was very focused on, building the right solutions, so the right feature flows, all the edge cases, all the details, right? And then as NEMO scaled, the teams grew. Of course, you have to change your mindset a bit to adapt. So I guess the real impact, or where I can really add value now, is rather than focusing on building the right things, is building the right environment and shaping how decisions are made. So today, it's less about designing the right things and more about empowering the teams to do that, and to build frameworks and systems that can scale. So not building the code, not building the product itself necessarily, but a system that allows the product to scale, which is really exciting because I'm a people person as well. So, yeah.
I think you kind of answered my next question. You obviously, had that kind of growth trajectory as an individual from senior PM through to kind of VP of products, and obviously as part of that journey, it sounds as though you joined NEMO as kind of the only product person and helped grow the team around you. And I was going to ask like how your thinking and approach had kind of changed as as you'd gone through that kind of evolution. But yeah, it sounds absolutely, as the product scales, as the business scales, obviously you go from building that kind of like initial product, that 0 to 1, like launching MVP, I guess, and then now you're in that position where it's empowering the team, and I guess there's been probably quite a bit of a shift in your focus in your career and how you approach things during that period.
Yes, of course. I think you learn from your experiences from your past managers, teams, products you've worked on in the past. And I think when the products start to scale and, there's higher complexities, there's more risk, you need to take a good look at yourself and really understand, like, am I becoming a bottleneck? And if so, make a conscious decision to step back. And actually going back to, again, empowering the team and that back to them. And if there are any other bottlenecks, help resolve those as well. It's important to define ownership, invest more in coaching teams. I think that's super important. It's the bottleneck. When you need to realize that you're less needed, as much as you want to keep being involved in the decisions or in the details, you need to realize when it's not your role anymore. Yeah.
Yes, it kind of goes from like you're kind of the doer, like in every part of the product. You're actually hands on, with it. To then, if you remain that kind of person for everything, then everything else has to slow down because people are waiting for you to make decisions, and those kind of bottlenecks creep up, right? So then you become. How can you foster an environment where you are still maybe part of the decision-making process, but you're not the person who actually has to go and do each individual thing across the business?
Exactly. Plus, as you grow, other member of the teams would like the opportunity to grow and learn more, right? So you need to create that space as well. I think it's very important.
And I guess, like, as a business grows and as a product organization grows, particularly in that kind of early stage environment, the buzzwords around like speed and agility and being able to shift products fast, that obviously changes. I guess there's probably a balance between speed and chaos, and there's obviously a point probably where I guess you've got to add a bit of structure and clarity whilst trying to protect that kind of speed and momentum. How has that happened, at NEMO and in your experience, and how have you protected that kind of speed still whilst the organisation is growing?
Certainly. I think it's a learning curve, right? And there's no always a clear answer. It depends on the products you're working on. The markets are always changing. Regulations are always changing. Teams are different. You have different skills within the team, and speed is, it's a really, really important topic, because you always have to find the right balance between speed and real impact as well. I'm a big fan of structure. So I like to empower teams by introducing that structure. So making sure that, those daily rituals are there, the weekly rituals, the alignment, without using them as buzzwords. They all need to be valuable. We're not having a meeting for the sake of having a meeting. And the goals of each meeting or of each ritual needs to be clear. Ownership and responsibilities need to be super, super transparent. So I think what has worked for me is being explicit. Communication is super important. Never assume that people know what they have to do. Never assume that people know who's responsible for what, and keep reinforcing that, right? Keep reminding people who's making the decision, who's responsible for what, and then make it part of the day-to-day conversation, because then people start trusting each other and know who to go to for answers, right? And in terms of speed, I really think like transparency encourages speed, but also that structure within the team and the ways of working means that you have to apply that to the problems and solutions you're looking at. I am a big fan of breaking down problems, breaking down solutions. Of course, being transparent also means that you have to keep reminding what the end goal is, like reminding everyone what the vision is. Absolutely. But although you're working towards the vision, that's not coming tomorrow, right? So speed is made up of small frequent improvements. So we want to get to 10, but there are 10 steps, right? So we build and we deliver 1 first, then 2, then 3, and maybe step 5 might be different from what we first envisioned because of what we learned before. So I think speed is important, but structure is needed, because you still need to keep delivering value. People say features. I say value, and learn from that and adapt and keep delivering. There is no point in having a vision and working on it for months, years, and you've seen this happening, and then delivering this huge thing, and everyone is disappointed because you've worked on it for a year and a half and the numbers are not what you've hoped for, right? It's better to ship small and faster.
That's a really good explanation of that, and how I guess how that's shifted as well. I mean, your comment about value over features is, I'm sure we could do a whole podcast around that. I think that's absolutely essential to product management, right? And actually delivering value to customers is far more important than just shipping a feature. That's to your point as well, right? The future vision, you could get all the way to that vision, but if it's not delivering any value, then what was the point of building it originally? So,
yes, exactly. And as I said, ecosystem, regulatory environments are constantly changing. So, if it takes you a year to build your vision, that vision might not be valid anymore.
I was going to ask, just on the topic of speed versus chaos, are there any, in your career, are there any particular moments or like signals where you can see speed being chaos more than just like good momentum? Is there anything specific that you kind of look out for where speed is actually just more chaos?
Without maybe bringing in a specific example, I can talk about trends, right? Speed can become chaotic when leadership, as product leader, reward speed over impact. There needs to be, consistency, and leaders need to lead by example and not say, we have our customers right front and center, but then only reward speed internally and focus on always question releases, dates, delays. I think speed is important, but also teams should be allowed to take additional time to really understand the problem, to really work through the solution so that minimize rework later.
I think that totally makes sense. If there's like a feature that you've validated as being the right thing to build, that's going to deliver value. If you can do that quickly, then great. That's good speed. But if you are just shipping something for the sake of shipping it, and it's like sort of out the outside looking in, it looks like it's kind of good speed.
Yeah.
But then you've got to
Yeah.
rework it later. Then it defeats the object, right? And that creates, I suppose, more chaos, tech debt, all that kind of stuff that you don't necessarily
Yeah.
need.
And I think, again, I'll go back to my point about breaking solutions down. You know, there's never a perfect solution, and there's never a guaranteed result. So it is always better to, once obviously you have validated an idea and experimented, ship something small and continue validating, because that allows you to do it fast. You give speed its importance, but you don't compromise. You're still delivering value, and you'll deliver value later as well, because you keep adding on it and building on it. That's I think, otherwise there's no perceived speed. It's just speed for the sake of speed, right? And then the numbers don't come in. Feedback is all, yeah.
I just want to go and move on to maybe sort of focusing a bit more around your kind of product leadership and sort of personally how you've kind of developed that, and I suppose particularly around like hiring and developing individuals maybe in your team, ideally more specifically around product people, given the topic of the podcast. First question, like what key signals are there that you need to add someone to your team, or maybe that you need to, maybe if you're not adding someone, then try and upskill someone internally to get them up to that level, and maybe promote them internally. Like what kind of things are you looking out for there, where there's that kind of need to really either bring someone in out from external or kind of bring someone up internally?
These are different use cases, I guess. There might be at times, although we're talking here about NEMO Money is the pretty new product market, but things, yes, at least internally become, I would get the mindset can become obsolete quite quickly. What I mean by that is that by working day on day on the same thing, the team members start becoming a bit blind to what the problems could be, or because they've gone through the same things over and over again, they don't act with clarity, right? And it's not their fault. It's just, it's the human mind. And you have to be like really, really, you need to have a high level of awareness to realize that, and sort of coach yourself to not do that. But sometimes I think it's useful to bring in some fresh eyes, for example. And not only, obviously, you're looking for strong product managers or strong product leaders, but something actually that I wanted to touch on is industry, right? A lot of the time when I speak to other peers or colleagues, some people put a lot of emphasis on same industry experience. At times, obviously, depending on the seniority of the role, I tend to disagree, because if someone has strong product skills, which are transferable, often when you are recruiting, you may say, we definitely need someone with experience in this field, someone who's done it before, who knows it inside out. But actually, I think a fresh pair of eyes always help teams who have been working on the same thing for a while unveil new opportunities and possibilities. Of course, the product skills need to be there. Industry experience, depending on the role, is not always necessary. So that is one point. And then certainly when you start seeing that a strong PM is acting as a project manager, as a delivery manager, starting to operate as a risk coordinator between different functions, engineering, compliance, legal, that's probably a signal that you need to rethink your team structure. I think that's partly a PM's responsibility. It's very important, cross-functional coordination, absolutely. But if that becomes the main thing, that probably means that the person is ready for a higher ownership role, that we need to free up capacity and therefore maybe hire someone else in that place and elevate the PM to a different role. Without assuming, again, communication is key. So you need to have those conversations with the team members. Someone who's doing a coordinator role, it might be doing it because it needs to be done rather than it being his aspirations or, career goals. They may want to stay in a technical role, maybe, So I guess those could be signals.
Yeah, definitely. I think that makes a lot of sense. I really like your points around the industry. I think that's, certainly, from my side of things, obviously working with clients who are looking for PMs, that's quite often something that hiring teams are looking for, and obviously, as you say, like it depends. If there's like a specific product line that someone's going to come in and work on, then maybe specific domain experience is useful. But absolutely, like you can. It's almost sometimes people who've worked on a similar problem space before come in with quite a lot of bias because they know the problems that exist, they know the customers that exist, which can be a good thing. But if you bring someone in who's got great product craft but hasn't worked in that space before, they haven't got those biases, right? So they come in and they're able to maybe identify different things to someone who's worked in that space before. So that
exactly.
Totally makes sense.
And as I said, it does depend on the role seniority, on the responsibilities you are going to give this person, because of course that experience of knowing the problem space is important, but it always depends. You can also coach someone.
Yeah, so I think it's super important. And I liked your second point around sort of upskilling an existing team member. Definitely the cross-functional elements are important, right? But if someone is spending a lot of time doing stuff outside of the kind of core product management role, it probably means they're not spending enough time in the problem space.
Exactly.
Really kind of digging deep into that, and while that while it's fine to do other stuff, they're super important that that's their role, that's their bread and butter, right? If you're a PM, so it totally makes sense to be doing that. Just like kind of conscious of time, it's been really really insightful around a lot of this stuff. Final question: looking back at yourself when you first started, as a senior PM, I guess, is there any kind of advice that you'd give to yourself as a leader, or the kind of journey that you've been on? Is there any advice you'd sort of look back and give yourself?
I'll have to think about this. So much to say. Definitely, not only for PMs. This is something that applies to any product role in different seniority. I guess it's not only about the structure of the code. It's not just about the perfect features. It is about the system structure. As a leader, and also to some extent as a PM, because you're constantly influencing people, you need to make sure that the system is in place for the product to succeed. So don't only focus on the features, don't only focus on the edge cases, the details. If you have the luxury of a business analyst to help you with that, great. Focus on making sure that transparency is there, that the rituals are there, that they work for the team that you have. Great products are never the result of just one huge great idea. It's the system, right? It's the system behind it that makes it possible. So I think focus on that as well.
Particularly in an early stage environment, if you are launching, say NEMO Money from day one, there's probably a lot of emphasis on ship the MVP, find product market fit, all of that as quickly as possible. But you get to a point where you can't do all of that yourself, as we discussed earlier. And if you haven't built that really good kind of system in place, then it can all fall apart quite easily. So yeah, it totally makes sense. Like,
Yes,
I
and
guess,
it
like
builds.
from day one, build a system rather than worrying about it or leaving
Yes,
it till later down the line. Yeah.
yes. Don't wait for it. Don't wait for it. And I know it's if you hear it late, then it's already too late. But if I had to give a piece of advice, it's this: don't wait for it. Make sure that the system is in place so that those great ideas can actually be delivered.
Yeah,
And you
totally
build
makes sense.
trust within the team and efficiency in this way, and everyone feels much more empowered to make decisions, to push ahead. And they do feel inspired because from great system come, frequent results and
Yeah, definitely, and the value as you talked about.
absolutely the value
Yeah, amazing.
for the
Well,
user
look,
and for the business.
absolutely, yeah. Bill, that's kind of that's a wrap really with this episode. It's been great having you on, Barbara, and like really insightful sort of discussion. Really like a lot of your points, particularly around basically kind of building culture and that kind of really good product culture within an early stage business. So thank you very much for your time. I'm sure the listeners will find that really interesting. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun. Thank you.
No problem at all. That's it for this episode of Product Leaders.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you found the conversation useful and maybe picked up something you can take back into your own work.
If you enjoyed it, make sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
And if there's a topic you'd love us to cover or someone you think we should speak to, let us know.
You can also check out previous episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. See you soon.